Thank you very much, Dr. Carfora. John, you were really right on point with some of the issues. The trouble with this issue, I'm Rick Nader, Vice Provost for International Affairs at the University of North Texas. I just think you're in my house. You all know me, but you don't know me. So anyway, I want to welcome everyone and thank John very much for his comments and for the work he's done leading this charge from behind the scenes and in organizing the National Academies Report. I was very inspired when I read that because I was looking for something. You know, I think either in the research office or as provosts or deans or international officers, we're kind of looking for guidance. How do we make internationalization work on campus? And that's a challenge for certainly the chief international officers, but it's also a challenge for everyone on campus who believes in that. How many of you have passports? You're very atypical, okay? If you look at U.S. higher education, you won't find those numbers in unanimity in the room. You won't find all students with an intention to go study abroad or do research abroad. You won't find all the faculty, but increasingly you will find more faculty who do have and do care and do want to do more global research. So the idea of this workshop is to help faculty and help you as leaders of your institutions to give faculty and students resources and ideas for how to organize yourselves and how to support the reason we're all here, and that's to support the next generation of global leadership in the U.S. universities and make them more able to work with their counterparts abroad. So I want to thank again John. I want to thank again Kenneth Sewell for your earlier remarks. I'm very fortunate to be at the University of North Texas where they take integrating globalization of research and education very seriously. If they didn't, I wouldn't have come here from NSF 4 years ago. And I've been very, very heartened by all of the support we have gotten. I also want to remind you that despite all of the best intentions of funding organizations, and thank goodness you're here, otherwise we probably wouldn't have had a big crowd, okay? But despite all the best efforts of the funding organizations, it's the universities. They're the ones that are going to innovate here. They're the ones with the ideas. They're on the ground. They know the students. They're in the trenches. And I'm glad, I know you recognize that, but I want to assure that the university participants who are here, about 40 U.S. institutions across 18 states, you know, you're the ones who are going to lead this charge on your campuses, so your voices are critical. I also want to recognize a couple of people who came a long way, and I can't recognize everyone who came a long way, but I do want to recognize a couple that may have come the farthest. From Thailand, Vice President of the Thai Research Fund, Vudipong, could you just, there you are, welcome. And also to test my geographical skills, I'm going to add one more country to make sure I haven't gotten the wrong one that's come the farthest. But also from South Africa, Dr. Linda Matrisha. Linda, welcome. Now, you know I'm not going to do all the rest of the 21 that are here, but I do want to acknowledge just a couple to give you a flavor of the graciousness and gratefulness we have for your participation here. We're going to learn a lot from you, and your voices indeed are critical to the U.S. conversation. If you weren't here, we would not be able to really sort these issues out, so please don't be shy when the panel comes up, which is very shortly, to contribute to the conversations after their presentations. I'd like to now invite the panel to come up, and I will talk about them as they make their way to the stage, perhaps for some efficiency. Dr. Prema Rasu is Vice Provost and Associate Vice President for International Programs at Washington State, Professor of Parasitology, more than 15 years of international research and academic experience, has served as the Director of Global Health Initiatives and Vice Provost for International Academics at North Carolina State prior to joining Washington State. I'd also like to introduce Dr. Jim Cooney, who's Vice Provost for International Affairs at Colorado State. And they have labels and their descriptions and their bios are in your programs. And Jim has more than 20 years of experience in international research and has worked at Harvard for 23, Executive Director of the Weatherhead Center and of International Affairs, was Dean of International Programs at the Kennedy School and Director of the McCloy German Scholars Program. Also Dr. Bob Eldy, Dean of, and I must turn the page, excuse me, the College of Biological Sciences at the University of Minnesota, where he's been on the faculty member since 1977 as he joined their neuroscience department. And he works and has on-the-ground experience working to promote quality education and research experiences, including international opportunities at the University of Minnesota. Dr. Marty Finkelstein is Professor of Higher Education at Seton Hall University. He has, after a career in academia that spans more than 30 years, has been a visiting scholar at the Research Institute on Higher Education in Hiroshima University, Japan, a visiting professor at University of Hong Kong, and a Fulbright senior specialist as well at the same institution. And he has multiple publications that explore the faculty-centered internationalization of research and education. Dr. Mauricio Narad, Director of the Center for Innovation and Research in Graduate Education and Associate Professor of Higher Education at the University of Washington. Mauricio has worked more than 20 years in the field of doctoral education with an emphasis on international research at the doctoral level, and since 2005 has convened a biannual network of global experts in the field of doctoral education. I also know that she has just rotated off the Office of International Science and Engineering's Advisory Board. And let me take a breath. I told you I'd do it quickly, and maybe that was too quickly. And before I introduce our moderator, I want to once again give my thanks to the conference organizers. You know, a couple of the special people in the room, other than all of you, are the staff that work in the three respective offices that believe in this. The staff of the Toulouse Graduate School are here, staff in my office of UNT International, and the staff in the Office of Research and Economic Development are here joining us, part of the conversation, because the kinds of things we're thinking about and the kinds of things we're hoping for would not be possible without their capable leadership and contributions into the cause of global research and education. Okay, and I'd like to now introduce Dr. Kathie Olsen. She's the founder, managing director of ScienceWorks in DC. She is a former director and chief operating officer of the National Science Foundation, former chief research officer at NASA. I'm sorry, there'll be a few formers here. You have a long and distinguished history. Dr. Olsen has seen international research collaboration in her own work and across three major agencies, including the time that she served as director of the Office of Science and the Office of Science and Technology Policy. And would you please help me in welcoming Dr. Olsen to the microphone?
Thank you. So the format today is really to have a very interactive session. So what we plan to do is have each one of the speakers speak for about 8 to 10 minutes. And if there's any clarifying questions, please feel free to even raise your hand in the middle of their remarks. But we're going to hold the questions and the interactions to the very end. Rick and Amanda, and I would like to thank them for organizing this, sent out a note to everyone asking for some questions that they would like this group to answer. We will talk, we'll have some of those questions first to get the panel kind of working together and being interactive, and then opening up to everyone here. Actually, there was some, I thought it was interesting. Are we really going to be talking this long? Because it seems like a long session. I think that the topics that's going to be laid out, we can see already in John's presentation, is going to be a very stimulating conversation, not only for the next, for all morning, but I think for the next 2 days. So let's get to business, and we'll start with Prima.
Looks like my PowerPoint can save. I think rather than go back to my USB in respect of the time, why don't I just talk?
Well, you know what?